Ramyata?
Yes,
Oh,
sorry.
hi. Oh,
Thank
no
you.
problem. No
Thank you,
problem.
Kendra.
Absolutely.
And namaste to everyone who's watching. Very happy to be here.
Wonderful. Thank you so much again. Ramyata, so I was actually in Nepal for a month in the beginning of the year. And, that was when the pandemic was just beginning to start. How about just giving us a little update on what's going on, how people are coping in Nepal with the pandemic?
Well, I think there have been different phases of the pandemic. Like you said, when it started in late March, no one really knew about what COVID-19 was and what the pandemic was about. So we had strict lockdowns for quite prolonged periods,
Right.
and then people were staying at home. But over time, things have to normalize. People get tired of staying home. The economy has to be running, or has to be revived. So I think the government has taken measures to kind of open up everything at the moment. But community transmissions are quite high now in Nepal, especially in cities like Kathmandu, where the population is really large. Um, but compared to other countries outside, I think our death rate is a bit lower. And the testing has increased to a certain extent, but not as much as it should. But I think now the sense that I'm getting is that people themselves are taking care to stay at home, while some others, in a very Nepali and fatalistic way, are like, whatever happens, happens, and then go about their daily business. And I think this is a very Asian or South Asian um, way of thinking. I mean, whatever's going to happen will happen. So be it. I have to. So that's the sense I'm getting at the moment.
Because of the pandemic, you must have had to adjust to a lot of changes, a lot of new challenges, putting together the 18th edition of KIMFF. So I actually was wondering if you could tell just a little bit about the festival itself, and then also how it is different this year in 2020.
Okay. Yeah. Well, the Kathmandu International Mountain Film Festival is in its 20th year. Um, Now it's 20 years, but it's our 18th edition, because when we first started in 2000, it was biennial for 2 years. So we did it every other year. But then we realized that it's better to have it annual. So we did it every year. So now it's our 20th year, but our 18th edition. It's been an interesting experience. In the beginning, we were like, I mean, should we do the festival or not? Is it worth it? Because there is a lot of work behind the scenes, reaching out to filmmakers, going through the selection process. But then we just thought, no, I mean, we should just go ahead and do it. Let's just do a virtual edition. It's been a learning experience for us. The festival's much smaller. Normally, when we did it live in a hall, we for 4 or 5 days, we would screen about 70 to 80 films. But this year, we're just we have about 30 films in the program, 18 in our international competition, and 12 in our Nepal panorama section. So we're having virtual Q&As with the filmmakers, and then some panels that will be virtual, and some that we're doing live in a hall. So it's a kind of hybrid, like a semi-virtual event. Um, and it's from the 10th to 14th of December. So we're going to stagger the films over those 4 days up till the 18th. So release 5 or 6 films every day. They'll be available for up to 5 days to a week, and then the next day we release another 7 or 8, and then kind of just stagger the films.
You just mentioned briefly about Nepal panorama. Panorama. Can you tell us just a little bit more about that?
Well, what happened when we started KIMFF in 2000 was we got a lot of films, international films from outside, a lot about sports, climbing, mountaineering, like basically content that other mountain film festivals around the world show. But then after 1 or 2 years, what we realized was that for the Nepali audience, those films weren't as interesting. I mean, Nepalis have Mount Everest here, but not many Nepalis have climbed Mount Everest. We see the Himalayas, the mountains every day, but the adventure aspect is not so much a part of our lives. It's more a religious, like kind of perspective that we look at the mountains. So then we realized if we wanted to engage the Nepali audience, it was important to have films about Nepal by Nepali filmmakers and Nepali stories and narratives. So then we started the Nepal Panorama in 2007, and now it's one of our most popular and well-attended programs. Also because I think when we started in 2007 and now it's 2020, it's also it offers a perspective of what is happening in Nepal, the many changes that Nepal has gone through those years. For example, let me give you an example. Nepal we had a Maoist conflict from 1996 to 2006, for a decade. So after that period, we would see a lot of films about the conflict, like about the Maoist conflict, the changes taking place. Another example would be you see more films about women from women's perspectives now, about sexuality, about their agency, about, and you see a lot of films, we see a lot of films about migration, told from different perspectives, because these are things, the changes that are happening in Nepal, or the issues that Nepalis are living or dealing with or see around them all the time. So this is being reflected in the stories that we get in Nepal Panorama.
The emphasis to bringing that element into KIMFF sounds like that's very important to you.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, so far the few film projects that I've been involved in, all of them are documentaries, and most of them focus on women or women's voices or narratives. Yeah, so I think for me, it is important. That's a way of expressing how I feel about women's situation in Nepal. And in the first film that I made with a very good friend of mine, Sapana Sakya, who's based in the West Coast in San Francisco, it's called Daughters of Everest, and we shot it in 2000, but it was released in 2004 at the Banff Mountain Film Festival. It screened at the Kathmandu International Mountain Film Festival. But I think for the first time, we were seeing a film about women Sherpa climbers, Sherpa women who wanted to climb Everest, which then was very unusual. You basically saw them as hoteliers, or porters, but then they were expressing their desire to climb. Why should it only be the Sherpa men? So we had 5 women, Sherpa women, who were part of an expedition then. So the film was about their stories. And the one woman who climbed then, Lakpa Sherpa, she actually has gone on to climb Everest, I think about 8 or 9 times now. And she has a record for a woman climbing Everest the most times from the south and north side. And I think she lives in the US now. Another film, Drawing the Tiger, like Amy was kind enough to let you watch it. It's about a young girl from a Dalit or marginalized community who wants to study further and gets a scholarship. But the film is also about rural and urban migration, how families from the villages, rural areas are moving to the city in the hope of, making their lives much better, and getting an, especially the young girl in the film trying to get an education, and the many challenges, that they face, or how Nepali society is changing, and how Kathmandu, the capital, is so centralized that for everything people have to move, to the capital. But now like you said, in terms of big changes, Nepal was once a monarchy, but now we're a federal republic. So, I mean, in such a short span, we've transformed or transitioned in a really big way. So I think some of these films that I've been engaged in kind of reflect these changes, the issues that come with them. But at the heart of it, the Nepaliness is still there. The people haven't changed that much. The way we think, the way we behave, the way we interact, our social makeup hasn't changed that much. So I think there's still a struggle or challenge in trying to bring these, the way we think, our mentality, the way we think, how do we kind of adapt to the um, to the really big political and historic changes that have taken place.
So in the West, especially, there is a glorified sort of sense of storytelling, but with your work, there is a rawness. There's like, it's sort of almost like punches you. So do with authenticity, is that what you mean? That provocation?
I think that's a really good point. And what we at KIMFF try to do is, or one of the goals, the objectives of KIMFF is also, I think, to try to support Nepali filmmakers to give voice to their own stories, because I think it's important for filmmakers. I mean, there are many, like, there are many films about Nepal in terms of adventure, climbing, culture made by Western channels, let's say, which are really good in terms of production quality, I mean, from a technical perspective. But somehow my experience over the years programming KIMFF, and what I see how the audience react to different films is like you said, when a Nepali filmmaker is making has a film on, let's say, Yarsagumba picking. What I've seen is in the hall, the audience really reacting to that film viscerally, because that filmmaker has really captured the earthy, gritty, the realities, the nuances, which probably sometimes maybe a non-Nepali filmmaker might not really be able to grasp. So he or she might have the same film about Yarsa picking, but when I saw our audience watch a film by a non-Nepali film about Yarsa picking, I could see that distance, they're watching, they're engaged, but it's not a visceral reaction to the film. So I think it's really, and having said this, I don't mean what Western filmmakers make or people are non-Nepali filmmakers are not authentic. Of course they are, but it's a matter of perspective of how they see Nepal. So I think it's important for our Nepali filmmakers to tell stories for their perspectives, to be expressed through the film. And when people watch around the world, watch these films at festivals, so then they get a sense, a real sense of like how Nepalese filmmakers see what their perspectives really are. Because you look at a subject, someone from the West might see it from a different perspective, but when you're looking from Nepal, from a Nepali perspective, it might be a bit different. So that's what we try to do. We have a doc lab, so we try to mentor, support young filmmakers um, um, to tell their stories. And KIMFF is a platform for them to, share their stories with the outside world.
What can we expect? Like, what are some of the takeaways for the festival this year?
I think I think we've worked really hard at kind of carefully curating this program. We're a mountain film festival, but unlike many other mountain film festivals, we're not so much focused strictly on adventure, sports. We have a few of those, but our focus is more on the cultural, environmental, social aspects um, um, of Nepal and outside. And Nepal Panorama especially, we see more about Nepal. So I'm really excited. Even in the international program, I think we've got a great lineup of films that reflect the changing pastoral lifestyles around the world. That's happened. The changes that are happening, how live with these, with what's happening around the world, and of individuals, trailblazers who are living life on their own terms, that inspire, that can really inspire us or move us. And then in the Nepal panorama section, I'm really excited for many of the debut films by young filmmakers, which are really, I think, kind of gives me hope, that our young filmmakers are really making interesting films in a very individual and personal way. So I think I'm really pleased about that. So I'd really like to invite your audience and whoever's watching to, support these filmmakers, our international filmmakers, our local talent, by watching their films, engaging in the Q&As, the virtual Q&As, the panel discussions that we'll be having, and live streaming via our Facebook page.
So you got into filmmaking in 2000 with Daughters of Everest, but before that you have an extensive background in investigative journalism. And in one of your interviews, you say that filmmaking is an extension of writing. For me, being a filmmaker, for filmmaking is all about telling that story visually, right? So I was actually just wondering, and also, could you expand on what you mean by, filmmaking being an extension of writing?
Yeah, well, for many years, I was a working journalist. I wrote for quite a few papers, both local and international. And then with Daughters of Everest, like I said, I kind of got into documentary filmmaking, which basically it's the audiovisual medium. And in a way, it's much more, especially in this day and age, in the age of digital media and everything is visual, it's a powerful tool, I think, to tell stories or to get more people to watch or see what you're doing, or kind of engage with the work that you do. I mean, even as a print journalist, like if you look at the status of print now, everywhere papers are closing in the US, in Nepal, a lot of print journalists are out of work. And there's a big shift or move towards multimedia, digital media. And if you want to be in the game, I guess this is, I mean, you have to be able to tell stories visually, Um, so so I think this is the way media is moving. I actually work at an organization called Panos South Asia, which is a media development organization, and we build capacity of South Asian journalists, and basically give them a platform to tell stories. It could be radio, it could be TV, it could be print, about stories or issues that aren't often covered by the mainstream media, or aren't sexy enough to be covered, like maybe about migration, women's reproductive health, or the climate, or environment, climate change, which now I guess is becoming more mainstream. The discussions are becoming more mainstream, but that's what we do. But a very big one thing that we do focus on now within Panos is on fact checking stories that are coming out, news that is coming out, what political personalities are saying. And that's a lot of online digital stuff. So this is the transformation that's taking place everywhere in the world. And I think if we want to be keyed in, we really have to, upgrade our skills.
Now, before I let you go, Ramyata, do you have any last word you want to share with our viewers?
um, Please, I mean, all the films are online. It's free. That's also part of our mission to engage more people, in the films that we're showing, that, it's information, it's entertainment, it's knowledge, building a more intellectual and community or society, especially in Nepal. That's one of our goals also. So please come, most of the events will be live stream on Facebook. You can go to our website, and I'd really like to thank Henrab for having me on your show. I've really enjoyed talking with you. Thanks so much, and have a good day,
Absolutely.
everyone.
Wonderful. Ramyata, again, thank you so much. And to our viewers, we'll be back with another show in a couple of days, actually. But until then, please stay safe and have a good rest of your night or your day. Bye-bye.